Even everybody asking me questions right now, which is crazy because you just got to understand our coach, Coach Prime, my dad. Everywhere he went, he was a winner. Every game, every opportunity, he took advantage of it. So a lot of y'all don't have, I'll say, the same knowledge and the same experience that he has. So how could y'all question what he's saying? He been out there. He got a gold jacket. He played in Super Bowls. A lot of people haven't, So I feel like now y'all understand that what he's saying is real, and y'all understand what he's saying. And yes, I came from FCS school, swag school, but to me, it's no difference. Them hits still feel the same at all. I mean, I knew we was gonna do this. The scoreboard just telling y'all that, that's what's going on.
So a lot of y'all didn't believe in Shakur and Shedeur. He said it. A lot of y'all didn't believe. Everybody asking questions. So this is Sports Bucks with Steve. And the words of DJ Khaled. And another one. Well, today's show, Coach Prime has the answers. And he's also got the receipts. He's heard everybody and what they had to say about his Buffaloes, what they've had to say about his team, what they've said about him, what they said about his son. And his son's on the team, like a kid like Travis Hunter, who Deion has embraced and brought in and is a dog. I love the fact that Deion doesn't do the captains or traditional stuff. He puts, leaders on your chest. He puts a L or a D for dog. And it's a little bit unconventional, but that's what works at times. And a lot of people had a lot to say about the Buffaloes who went into TCU into Fort Worth, Texas, and pulled out what the people are saying is an upset. But in Coach Prime and Shedeur and the rest of the crew's were ideas and mindset, it was not an upset. We knew we could do this. And sometimes it takes that type of belief in yourself when nobody else is believing, when nobody else is seeing what you see, when nobody else has your vision, when nobody else is like, hey, man, I don't really get what you're trying to do. Well, sometimes you got to be the first to believe it. When you believe it, and sometimes what the thing is you can't tell nobody else that you believe it. You just got to do it. You got to have a mindset of, hey, man, I'm going to get it done regardless of what you think and what they think. I'm going to win. And that's the mindset that I have as an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for 20 plus years. And the world will tell you, hey, man, you ain't going to make it. The world will tell you, you don't know when your next opportunity is going to come from. You better go get a job. But you can't listen to the world. You can't listen to that inner me that can be your enemy trying to bring you down. You got a game plan, put it together. Execute, believe, put in the work, and the results will be what they need to be. So shout out to Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes and Shedeur Sanders, who got it done. You look like Colonel out there, chopping it up, making it work. 510 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. He's the new winner of I'm Him from Sports Bucks with Steve. The new winner. Check it out, our radio show, Sports Bucks with Steve, airing on KCAA Radio, with ESPN CLT, and all over the podcast platforms all over the country. But this is Sports Bucks with Steve. This is YouTube. Please wipe your feet when you step into my house and like and subscribe to the channel. This is growing and growing and growing. But this is Sports Bucks with Steve. Check us out. Stay tuned. We got a lot to talk about, including, Say what? Rich Paul, what you talking about, dog? This is Sports Bucks with Steve. Sports Bucks. Check out Coach Prime. What you say, Coach Prime? What you saying, Coach Prime?
No. I read through that bull junk you wrote. I read through that. I sifted through
What
all
did I
that.
write?
Yeah.
What did I write?
Oh, no. Come
Can
on.
I ask my question?
Do you believe?
In what?
You don't believe.
I believe.
You just answered it. You don't believe. Next question.
Next question. Coach Prime asked the man, do you believe? Not like, what's the name of the song? Do you believe in the power of love? No, do you believe in the power of motivation? Do you believe in the power of observation and going in and saying, hey, this ain't going to work. We need to make changes. We need to make plans to make this deal different. We got to fix the situation. And speaking of fix the situation, one of our big sponsors that supports us, we got a new sponsor coming. I want to shout out to Genesis Family Dentistry. Genesis Family Dentistry will be joining us shortly, and Dr. Stacy Alston and the team. Shout out to Genesis Family Dentistry. They are getting it done over there. She's very passionate about sleep studies and making sure your nasal capacity, your airways are open, because a lot of things happen in the throat and in the nose. So Genesis Family Dentistry, hey, shout out to them coming on board. But also want to thank Tax Doctor.
Hi, my name is Lily. My mom and dad used to fight about money all the time. Then one day, I heard them talking about this guy, some uncle I never knew, called Uncle Sam. Well, they say this Uncle Sam guy wanted them to pay him like $1 gazillion, and they didn't have $1 gazillion. So they called this company they heard on the radio called the Tax Doctor. And the Tax Doctor worked with Uncle Sam's people. I think they're called the IRS. And they're able to work it out so my mom and dad didn't have to pay Uncle Sam very much money at all. So now mom and dad are happy, and I'm happy too. Thanks, Tax Doctor.
If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state, call now and pay less.
Call 800-268-1055. That's 800-268-1055. 800-268-1055.
Now, more than ever, all U.S. veterans need your help. If you have an old car, truck, or van, you can donate it today and help them. And they'll come pick it up for free. Plus, the money raised helps our nation's disabled veterans and their families. Call the number on your screen right now. Within a few days, we'll come and tow it away for free, running or not. And the proceeds greatly help U.S. veterans. So please call right now.
Tax Doctor, veteran car donations. We'll come back with RX Heroes possibly, or I know we'll be coming back with the Super Rolf, just so you guys can get a little bit more understanding and about that. But listen, man, I'm excited about today's show because I got a lot to talk about. And Coach Prime, we got receipts. Do you believe? I believe, Coach Prime. I believe that a 45-42 win on the road against the national runner-ups and a 21-point underdog lets me know that the Colorado Buffaloes are for real. And they get to host the Nebraska Cornhuskers Saturday afternoon in Buffalo. The crowd should be rabid. I'm talking about just over the hill excited against a rival opponent in Nebraska, who came off of a loss where they basically had to win and then found a way to lose in Matt Rule's first game at Nebraska's head caller. They came up short on the road to Minnesota. I believe they lost in overtime. But the Buffs represent a little bit more athleticism and players making plays. And as I said to you guys, the I'm Him winner of this week's top player performance. And by the way, listen to the show. As I said before, please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. But if you have a player or a person from the previous week who has performed outstanding, please, you can leave a comment, you can leave a note, especially from this upcoming weekend's performances, whether it's football, whether it's basketball. We don't do a lot of other sports too much, but we do college, pro, football and basketball. We'll do some high school stuff as well this year. I'll start bringing in some of my guys from across the country in my Preps to Pro segment, where we talk about high school football and basketball and things of that nature, but mostly high school football. We'll talk about, I've got some guys in Florida. Shout out to my man Travis Thomas. All it is work. My man Tavares Bragdon and so forth. That'll give me the scoop on what's going on in South Florida football. Then we've got some other guys that cover the other parts of the states of Florida, like my man Mike Lundy and some other guys that can talk about Duval and what's going on up that way. And then we'll look at bringing in some people from Texas from a high school level that can give us some inside information on what's happening there. And also here in the Carolinas, whether, in Charlotte and in the Rock Hill, South Carolina area, want to have some folks that we can work with. And we also looking at some colleges here in Johnson C. Smith. Shout out to the Golden Bulls and the UNCC 49ers. We've got some opportunities to sit down and go to some of their games and talk to them. We'll be looking at some of those future games shortly as well. But I did want to just recap again the great victory by the Buffaloes, that Coach Sanders has taken this team and made them a believers and making the world now believe that this team is capable of some big, big things. And so you've got to be excited about where these guys are potentially going and under Coach Prime's leadership. And so it's really, really exciting to see Coach get his so-called flowers, right, and taking care of it. So, but Shedeur Sanders is the I'm Him, Sportsbook's I'm Him winner for this week for his performance on his 9 school records he broke in his first the FBS game in his first start. He threw for 510 yards, 4 touchdowns, and was 38 of 47 passing, no interceptions, had a 90.8, I think, QBR, 80% completion rate. This is outrageous. And then Travis Hunter, which could have been the co-winner with his 100+ yards receiving, and he also had an interception, played over 100+ snaps. That's some Jim Thorpe stuff, right? Back in the day. But in the modern college football, it's just unheard of, right? So congratulations to Coach Prime. You got to make sure your kids are not on a letdown and be too high, because you do have Nebraska coming in, and Nebraska would love nothing more than to beat a rival and to pull off the upset. So we'll see what happens on this weekend, Saturday's games. But it'll be exciting to see nonetheless. So shout out to the Colorado Buffaloes and Coach Prime. Obviously, the NFL is on. We'll talk a little bit about that after the NFL games this Sunday. I know there's some big ones coming up. In particular, we had the Chiefs and the Lions big game. We also have the Cowboys, America's team, my team, Cowboy Nation Stand Up. We have a big game Sunday night against the G-Men, the Giants. You also have the other big game. The other 2 big games that I think I pointed out on the radio show was the Steelers at the 49ers at the Steelers, and the 49ers just signed Nick Bosa to this massive deal, $170 million 5-year deal with $122 million guaranteed. That's a really interesting game, because you've got 2 of the league's most glamorous franchises playing against each other, and the Steelers will be the underdogs, but they're going to be playing at home. And you can never discount Mike Tomlin's ability to coach his guys and get them ready to play. He's never had a losing season, which is amazing in itself. So that's another big one when you start talking about these really, really glamour franchises. 49ers at the Steelers. There's never been a Super Bowl game, though. That's kind of an amazing thing. It's never been a Super Bowl matchup with 2 franchises that have – the Steelers have 6 and the 49ers have 5. So it's 11 Super Bowls between the 2 of them. And you've never seen that actual matchup in the Super Bowl. That's interesting. Hope it don't happen this year for obvious reasons. I'm a Cowboys fan. But Buffalo at New York Jets. I think that's a big one. I know my son said he'll be there. That's a Monday night game. Aaron Rodgers will host Josh Allen, and that's a big one. That's a good one. That's an AFC East matchup that I think is going to be – it's a litmus test for the Jets to see where they are. Buffalo has been the standard by which we measure the AFC East over the last several years, and so it'll be interesting to see if there's a turning of the guard or a turnover in terms of a new king or new champ in that division this season. We'll see. The AFC East is arguably the best division in football, along with the NFC East, where you see the Cowboys go to the New York Giants, the G-Men, the third New York team, that two of them that play in New Jersey, but it's another story. We'll see if Dak still has the mastery over the Giants. I think he's won 10 straight games over the Giants, which, you know, everybody would say, oh, you just jinxed him. But hopefully Dak has righted the proverbial ship from his last performance that they had in the playoffs, where he didn't play well against the 49ers. Yeah, I think he would also admit that. But we hope that. One thing I didn't like, I'll say this about the Cowboys and some of the key teams, is that I didn't like the fact that they didn't play in the preseason, right? So I thought that they could have at least had a couple of, a series or two in the preseason. I know they were trying to, err on the side of caution and keeping folks from getting injured, but kind of like to see them just at least get a snap in here or there, and to get that continuity down there. But I guess that's what they practice for. So, we'll see about that. But I want to go into real quickly. Let me just get, guys, I got to get one of my other sponsors. And please don't forget to go to the superoff.com, the superoff.com. But here is let's go to My Virtual Docs.
Are you looking for an affordable yet exceptional virtual healthcare solution for your workforce? Have you been thinking of a way to attract and keep a good team of employees? Well, your solution is here with My Virtual Docs. From virtual primary, urgent, and mental health care, a free and low-cost medicine formulary, and even pet care, My Virtual Docs has got everyone in the household covered. My Virtual Docs allows employers to provide employees and their families with convenient access to the care they need, on demand, without having to miss valuable work time. Our strong network of providers and pharmacies means patients have unlimited access to their providers virtually with no copay, anywhere they can get online and have their medicines delivered right to their doorstep. By simply logging into their portal, patients can make appointments, visit with doctors, fill prescriptions, and more. And it keeps getting better. With the use of our smart app, Burn, your employees will be inspired to earn dollars while they burn calories. Who wouldn't want to get paid to go for a walk? Here at My Virtual Docs, we're committed to helping employers help employees and their families achieve optimal health and wellness with exceptional care at an affordable price. Visit myvirtualdocs.com for more details.
It's a bird!
It's a plane!
No, it's Super Roth!
Okay, a gimmicky opening for a commercial about Super Roth Universal Life Insurance, but I'm sure it got your attention. Now, what is a Super Roth, you ask? It's a permanent indexed universal life insurance that's totally liquid and easily accessible once it matures. Can be used to supplement retirement savings or a death benefit, or both. Has no income or contribution limit. Has no 5-year rule like Roth IRAs. Has no 10% penalty for accessing the funds before age 59 and a half. Oh, and the average historical returns are 5 to 7% annually. Tax-free. Super Roths also lock in gains, which means you don't lose your money when the market is down. Sounds incredible, right? Sounds super? Super Roths are the way of the future, specifically your future. To see if you qualify for a Super Roth, go online to thesuperroth.com.
Super off. Hey, man. Coach Prime. One time for your mind, Coach Prime. Listen, we're going to talk about it. Huh? Say what? What am I talking about? Let's go straight to the videotape. Rich Paul said something, y'all, that is, the goalposts keep moving on this GOAT conversation. I'm not even going to go into all the reasons why he's wrong, but I want you to hear from Rich Paul and his GOAT argument where he was appearing on, this is fair use, obviously, but he's appearing on, I think it is Gilbert Arenas' podcast. And the only thing I got a problem with is that these guys just sit back and just let people say anything. And a guy like Kenyon Martin, who was on the show, who comes off as a dog, you're just going to let him just say anything? This is why this show is called, Huh? Say what? because the GOAT argument that these folks are coming up with, it's let's not talk about what happened on the court. Let's just start talking about other stuff. They got nothing to do with being the GOAT. But listen to this.
Ever made up to 14 when it started getting a little weird. But but at the end of the day, that was me, right? That's all we had to compare to. There was nothing else. Mike transcended the game. When Kobe came, Kobe was a silhouette of Mike, right? That's everything, which is great. But LeBron is the first player to have to deal with a 24/7, 365 news cycle of sports and opinions from those that's not even capable or carry the expertise to give a valid opinion. That's a whole nother thing that Mike never had to deal with because his hardest critic was probably Peter Vesey.
Yep. Straight up.
You see what I'm saying?
Fucking Peter Vesey.
But I just think LeBron's antlers is in platinum and Michael's may be in gold. Why? Because when you think about he had to be compared to Mike. Who did Mike have to be compared to?
Talk about it.
Right? You talk about, oh, he lost this X amount of finals. Well, how many finals you been to?
2.
How hard was it to get there?
Extremely.
How many finals you been to?
Not a goddamn one.
What about you? Why didn't you go?
Hard. LeBron.
Right. We talking about 4 guys, 3 lottery picks, a guy the Gilbert Arenas rule was created for him, because of him, But then you got to also think about when LeBron came into the league.
Yep.
T-Mac, Paul Pierce, AI, Kobe, you had all these guys. And we're talking about this kid. We just saw the clip of his teammates. Oh, he's going to have to join the bandwagon. Huh? And D. Miles, my man. Mom was a sweetheart. D. Miles welcomed me with open arms. Can't blame him for that.
Nah.
He don't know what's getting ready to take place.
Nobody did.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yet and still, this is what you get. So now when you talk about the GOAT, okay, the man made a decision to go to Miami. Whether you like it or not, every kid today is saying what? I'm taking my talents too. It was just ahead of his time. It's okay for us to say that. He was the first social media athlete of anything. It's okay for us to say it was ahead of his time. Now, I never think it's an easy way to break up with anybody, especially your wife or, or franchise that drafted you from home. Mm-hmm. So, maybe not necessarily the best decision optically, but the thought and the intent of it was genuine from the heart. Boys and girls, but you talk about propaganda, so it's a different dynamic, right? Then the narrative of, okay, well, he went to Miami and, they made him this way. What? Now, what did help was infrastructure, consistency, professionalism, which LeBron's always had. That's no question about that. But I'm saying overall, from a culture perspective, right? Organization,
yep.
Which was all great. But to create this narrative of he needed somebody and they, no, it's a shared need. Because if I don't go there,
they don't win.
What are you talking about? You get what I'm saying? Now, that's not coming, if you ask anybody in the Heat organization, at least me, they'll tell you how much they appreciate it, still appreciate it. You get what I'm saying? But the narrative from the media perspective was something totally, totally different. So when you just get into that GOAT conversation, and I always say this, comparisons are the thief of joy. But Michael's a GOAT, no question about it. But LJ's a GOAT as well. He came in, $100 million contract. Think people like that? There hasn't been one since, and it won't be one. Right? It's a good segue for you, Joe. It won't be one. You feel what I'm saying? Because shoe deals ain't what they used to be. But I'm just saying, we talk about all the teammates around them that got paid, all the coaches that got paid, all the Lance Blanks, Chris Grant, Danny Ferry, Wes Wilcox was there. He's a GM.
Yep.
When you just really break down the impact, right? How could you say that this man is not a GOAT? It doesn't even make sense.
So, okay, there's a lot to unpack with Rich Paul's conversation because he was a little bit all over the place, to be honest with you. He was all over the place because he says LeBron's antlers are in platinum, Jordan's antlers are in gold because Mike wasn't compared to anyone and LeBron had to be compared to Mike. Huh? Say what? Like, what does that have to do with the GOAT? The GOAT is the greatest of all time. It's singular. And there's a reason why the majority of people vote Michael Jordan number one. It has nothing to do with what he's talking about. He's talking about stuff about what LeBron had to be compared to, because LeBron had to be compared to Michael Jordan coming up. Because LeBron is the first in social media. No, he wasn't. There were other people in social media that was playing. You don't think Kobe Bryant was scrutinized? And he disrespects Kobe by saying he was the silhouette of Jordan. That's actually disrespectful because Kobe Bryant worked harder on his game than LeBron did. LeBron still don't have a consistent mid-range game shot. He doesn't. He doesn't have a mid-range. So he has a step back when he tries to take an awkward three, or he just wants to drive to the basket. In this era, which is bereft of dominant big men to stop him at the hole, you don't have to worry about that as much. And the illegal defenses that they are able to do, there is no hand checking. So all of those things allows people like LeBron to be able to go to the basket. But this insistence that Rich Paul and these people, now he's saying, well, Jordan is a GOAT, LeBron is a GOAT. No, there's a singular GOAT. Is LeBron a top 5 player? Yes. But when he says, how hard is it, Gilbert Arenas, for you did you get to the finals? No. Okay. Well, who did Gilbert play with? Kenyon Martin, he got there twice. He played with Jason Kidd, an all-time great point guard. And he played with Richard Jefferson and a few other guys. But there was never is Jason Kidd top 5 player in the NBA when they were doing that necessarily? No. I thought he should have got MVP one of those years. But he didn't. They gave it to Duncan. But Jason, they used to call him Asen Kidd because he didn't have a jump shot. The J was silent. So let's take a look. I'm a factual guy. So I this silliness because LeBron was able to make it and he didn't have to be learned, or this narrative, that's nonsense. That he of course he had to be taught how to win. Dwayne Wade was already an NBA champion. Had won and was NBA Finals MVP. LeBron James did not carry his weight in the NBA Finals. Not just one final. That's another narrative that we're going to dispel. It wasn't just he didn't show up in the 2011 finals. He didn't show up in the 2007 finals when they played against the Cavs, where he averaged only 22 points a game in that series and shot like 30-something% from the field because he didn't have a jump shot. He didn't have a jump shot. So let's look at some interesting facts that Rich Paul is just, I know this your boy, man, but stop the madness. I'm going to give you something that is GOAT. First of all, let's take a look at LeBron James has played with way more Hall of Famers than anybody. So when you play with all of these future Hall of Famers, you're likely, and you play in what the East. So let's look at it. LeBron James went to 8 straight finals. When he loses the finals, it's his teammates didn't help. They weren't good enough. But when he wins, it was all about LeBron. You cannot have it both ways. So he gets to the finals, he's not good enough. But the East, it's amazing because he got to the finals as if it was him by himself. So let's take a look. His first 4 straight, he was on a superstar team. Dwayne Wade, all NBA, all of those years, by the way. The narrative that Dwayne Wade was old and washed up is not true. Chris Bosh was a perennial all-star those years. Sacrificed a lot of his numbers. You had Ray Allen. You had Mario Chalmers. You had Birdman. You had Shane Battier. You had a plethora. Udonis Haslem. You had all kinds of great help and support on that team, along with all-stars. They were considered the Heatles. And you were in the Eastern Conference for those 4 years playing against Lance Stevenson and Paul George. And the year that he finally beat the Celtics is when he got Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and all those other people. And we could say that the Celtics were old, since they always try to say that Jordan beat such and such and then when they got old. But they don't tell you when he beat the Pistons, when they swept the Pistons, the very next season, the Pistons had, what, 3 All-Stars? 3 All-Stars? Dennis Rodman and them all in their 20s. Isaiah was 28. So there's all these lies to try to create this false GOAT comparison when there is no comparison for anyone who has seen it. So I think the LeBron James is one of the top 5 players ever. There's no disrespect. He's just not the GOAT. And so let's take a look. So when we look at early in his career, and they start talking about all these things, the Miami Heat in the 2011 finals, Wade averaged 26.5, 7 rebounds, 5.2 assists per game. Bosh averaged 18.5, 7.3 rebounds a game, and 1 assist. LeBron averaged 17.8 points per game, 7.2 rebounds, 6.8 points assists per game, and had a negative 36 plus minus. Chalmers, 11. In LeBron's own words, we lost because I wasn't even there. When was Michael Jordan the reason why the Bulls lost a series? His teammates had to improve. So let's look at another narrative that Rich Paul fails to mention. And Michael Jordan did have people to be compared to. Did anybody ever heard of Magic Johnson or Larry Bird? And people were saying that Michael was never going to win. He was the best player, but he could never win. Michael Jordan was compared to Dr. J. He was compared to Magic Johnson. He was compared to these other people. Because we didn't have social media, it didn't mean people weren't talking. There was barbershop talks that had been around well before social media, y'all. So that's another lie. And when we say, okay, he went to all these finals, his teammates LeBron James was playing with. The East was weak. You want to know how weak the East was? I'm going to go over this because this false GOAT narrative and this Rich Paul, these guys are upset because people won't tell you. They won't tell you or won't run to his aid. And here's another one real quickly. I want you guys to pay attention to this. The Warriors in 2017, and everybody says it was unfair when LeBron went up against Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and everything else. I'm going to give you some more facts. Here is the scoring average. And Kevin Love told you in an interview they were a super team because everybody knew they were a super team. Everybody knew the Cavs were a super team. They went 12-1 that year, where the Warriors went 12-0. They were the 2 best teams in the NBA going against each other. Kevin Durant was now 1B to LeBron's 1A as best player. So let's take a look at the scoring. The top 4 guys. Watch this. Kevin Durant, 35, 8, and 7 he averaged against LeBron James. LeBron James, 34, 12, and 12. Curry, 27, 8, and 9. Kyrie Irving. I even heard on a show where Michael Irvin, it was Richard Sherman, said they had nothing. They had no help. What? And Kyrie just hit a shot, and he tried to make the comparison to Steve Kerr's shot. It's a big difference. Steve Kerr hit a shot. Kyrie Irving averaged 27 in that series. Stop it. 27 and hit the shot. But the 2017, where you claimed LeBron was up against all this super. Okay. Klay Thompson, 16, 5, and 2. Kevin Love, 16 and 2, 16 and 10, and 1 assist, a double-double. Draymond Green, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, 10 rebounds and 5 assists. J.R. Smith averaged 11, 2, and 1. And again, the Warriors entered the finals with a 12-0 record. Cleveland entered the finals with a 12-1 record. Was a matchup unfair, or did LeBron just lose the battle with KD? Rich Paul. Huh? Say what? Huh? Say what? Now let's go back and let's take another look at the Eastern Conference. When you say he got to all these finals, he had all the help. LeBron is Mr. Help Me. That's what he is. Help me. He always need. He has to play with another dominant offensive guy. Where Michael Jordan did not need another dominant offensive guy. He just needed a guy that could play and could defend like Scottie Pippen could. So let's take a look at this information. So watch this. So here's another one. We're going to go in and see. I'm going to find it right now. Let's see. Let's go in. Man, I mean, it's just like I said, when you hear these guys say stuff, it literally drives you crazy because you know they're not talking with no sort of context to their arguments, and nor are they being honest about the argument. They're just this is an agenda that they're setting up for LeBron to try to get his people to not go back and actually watch the game and actually talk about what really happened as opposed to what they want you to believe. So let's take a look. This is another thing that they never talk about with LeBron. And Kobe beat the Boston Celtics with just Pau Gasol and some good help, right? He actually beat that super team. The Heat were put together, by the way, to beat the Boston Celtics super team. Dwayne Wade also said that. Him and LeBron had gotten together, and they needed Chris Bosh to be the other guy to help beat the Celtics. That's what they were constructed to beat. But let's check this out. In the year that LeBron had the best record in basketball, this was 2008 and 2009, when he didn't have any of these so-called super friends. The Cleveland Cavaliers went 66-16. This is who they played, folks, in the playoffs. This is who they played. Let's see. This is pretty bad. Well, they beat several teams. I'm looking at it. They played when we look at the records, you're looking at the Knicks, the Raptors, the Bucks. And if you look at their seed, if you would take the seed of where they would rank in the NBA, the Wizards were horrible. They were 19-63. The Knicks were 32-50. The Raptors were 33-49. And this is, let me just break this down. This is a little bit longer show than I thought I was going to do. But this is their strength of schedule and the teams that they played and where they got these 66 wins from. They had 2 wins versus the 19-63 the Washington Wizards. They had 4 wins against the 32-50 New York Knicks. They had 3 wins versus the 33-49 Raptors, 4 wins versus the 34-48 Bucks, 3 wins versus the 34-48 Nets, 2 wins versus the 35-48 Bobcats, 3 wins versus the 36-46 Pacers, 3 wins versus the 29-43 8-seeded Pistons that made the playoffs that year. They had 24 wins versus this crap that was in the Eastern Conference, where you can make the playoffs with a losing record. Think about that. So when you look at the losing record, I'm going to look at some more notes here. Just losing records. And by the way, he lost to the Dwight Howard Orlando Magic team in that same season. Lost 4-2 when he was the favorite. But Rich Paul want to talk about LeBron being an underdog. He actually said that LeBron was an underdog in 2 of those, and he wasn't the underdog, and he said the underdog in 8 of those 10 series. That's actually not true. LeBron was the favorite in 5 of them going into the finals. He was a favorite. The Heat were favored in all 4 of their years. These are facts that you can easily look up, folks. So this is the narrative. So when we go back and look at the actual what happened on the field, on the court, LeBron James 2007 finals, he shot 35% from the field. He shot 20% from the three-point field goal range and 69% from the free throw line. Up 2-1 in the 11 series, LeBron's game 4, he had 8 points. And he was 8 points. And they lose the game by 3. He played the entire fourth quarter. Now, if LeBron teammates are the reason why he was in those finals, he didn't get it done when he was there to help him. Just a superstar is supposed to carry the weight and make the plays to help your team win. So these are just some of the facts, folks. There's so much more that I could pick out and I could point out when it comes to who this guy and who they played against. Again, I still believe that LeBron is a top 5 player. But let me give you what the GOAT did. The real GOAT. And this is what the real GOAT has. So let's take a look. I'm not finished. You know what? I thought I was finished. Let me get a sip. I'm not done. If you look at what LeBron has played against, there's no big men in the NBA anymore, so it's not physical. He's never beat an elite team that was on defense or an elite defensive big man in his prime. Never. And he has the most turnovers in the history of the NBA. He's inefficient at three-point shooting. There's just so many other things that I can talk about. He's had more All-Star and Hall of Fame help than anyone ever. What the LeBron fans are pointing out, oh, this guy was all defensive team, and this guy, look at what, stop it. This is a fact, and I still think he's a top 5 great player. There's so much more I could go into, but I won't today. But let me give you the real GOAT, something that will never, I don't think this will ever be duplicated. Watch these stats on the real GOAT, Michael Jordan. And if you notice what Rich Paul was doing, he was taking it away from the court. He didn't want to talk about the actual accolades of what they did on the court, which is what we judge greatness by, not off the court. When we say Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, are we talking about what he's doing off the field? No, we're talking about what he did on the field as the quarterback. It's what we talk about. We don't talk about this other stuff. They only do this with LeBron James to try to create a narrative and a case for him being the greatest. And he's not. So let's take a look at what the GOAT actually did. Michael Jordan in 32 months. For those who are mathematically challenged, this is not even 3 years. He was a 3-time NBA champion, 3 times finals MVP. He was a 2-time league MVP. He was a 3-time scoring champion. And he was a 3-time all-defensive first team. And people keep saying he's LeBron's the greatest all around. No, he's not. That's another narrative that's not true. He's a great passer. He's a good defensive rebounder. Michael Jordan actually is a better offensive rebounder than LeBron is at 6'6". And LeBron's 6'8", 6'9". These are also facts. He's not a great offensive rebound guy. LeBron is. So offense, when you say best all-around player, you also play defense. That's also a skill. Michael Jordan has more all-defensive appearances, first team, 10 scoring titles to 1 for LeBron. He's the defensive player of the year, MVP, and all this. Oh, and by the way, in this 32-month period, he missed 0 games. GOAT. Your best ability is your availability. This is Sports Bucks with Steve. Appreciate you guys listening to my rant. But Rich Paul, huh? Say what?